I had a nightmare about King Kong last night, so I'm gonna make that everyone else's problem. This is an animatronic. The video at the end is terrifying, by the way. You can skip and watch it if you want. This video is going to contain a bunch of different King Kong animatronics, but this is the absolute worst one. It is on the Universal Studios ride Skull Kong Island. Kong Skull Island, wow. And like you go on this little tram and bro looks at you through it and he looks really mad. He looks like you just hit on his girl. He looks mad. This is kind of a duplicate of it and look how big it is in comparison to bro. Also, here's another King Kong animatronic used for the movie back in the day, and all of these animatronic parts, sickening. Like, look how tiny that guy is in comparison to this thing. I could never go anywhere near a giant King Kong animatronic. I would cry. Like, I have megalophobia so bad, I can barely look at buildings. And I had a reoccurring nightmare when I was little of white gorillas chasing me, probably because I watched the movie Congo when I was 4. And this King Kong animatronic that was made for Madame Tussauds in London and New York. And here's the making of it, if you wanted to be even more traumatized. Here's them putting it together. Ugh. And its lip twitches and stuff. It's so creepy. Here's it without its little nose, looking like Voldemort. Its teeth, for whatever reason, they didn't have to make it so hyper realistic, did they? Like, look how small they are in comparison to this giant. I can't. Like, I showed this picture at the beginning, but like, imagine you're cleaning up and you work in this area of Madame Tussauds and you have to clean it at night and it's just there in the dark. I would cry. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. Would you be able to go on this ride? Are you also megalophobic like me? Let me know. Megalophobia is a fear of giant objects, by the way, in case you didn't know.
This cannot be good.
Did you know the Spinosaurus animatronic broke the T-Rex animatronic on the set of Jurassic Park 3? Now you do. Let's talk more about this doggone animatronic because it's huge. Which, by the way, Jurassic Park 3 is my favorite Jurassic Park movie. I don't care what anybody says. The Spinosaurus is the GOAT. Look how big it is in comparison to them. It is the biggest animatronic ever made. This is me with my balloon on my 29th birthday. It is a dinosaur. I'm a massive dinosaur fan. Of course, the GOAT, Sam Winston, made this animatronic. It was 12 tons in weight, and it also had to have a 1,000 horsepower engine, which, just by example, the T-Rex animatronic was only 9 tons and only needed a 200 horsepower engine. So yeah, bro didn't stand a chance. Here's the Spinosaurus being made. All of those electronics were under the water, by the way. It was made to move in hydraulics, and then the underwater part and the part where it's like completely raining and they're in the water, the Spinosaurus had to be able to do that, and that is horrifying. This would be my legitimate reaction, her face, seeing this animatronic. I love how bro looks like he's posing. Here's another picture of the making of it. God, that thing was so big. Like, look how huge it is. I had someone send this to me on Instagram of pictures that they took of the actual Spinosaurus head in a Hollywood museum. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it's just the head because the body was completely decomposed because of it being in water. Super cool. I would love to see this, but also I would cry. Which do you like more, the Spinosaurus or the T-Rex? I'm definitely going Team Spinosaurus.
Did you know that in Japan there's a legend about a woman who stands 8 feet tall? One summer, a boy went to visit his grandparents in the countryside. While playing near the forest behind the house, he heard something strange. A deep, broken voice calling out, "Po, po, po." He stopped and looked around, and that's when he saw her, a tall woman in white wearing a wide hat, standing just beyond the trees. Panicked, he ran back home. His grandparents immediately locked the doors and covered the windows. The boy was scared and confused with no idea what was happening. They kept him inside, telling him to stay hidden until his parents arrived to take him away. But after only a few hours, something started knocking on the front door. Through the crack, he heard his grandmother's voice, gently calling for him to open it. But somehow, her voice didn't sound right. When his parents arrived the next morning, the house was silent. Inside the boys' room, they only found a wide-brimmed hat lying on the floor. On the wall, scratched deeply into the wood, were 3 words: "Po, po, Did you know that in Japan there's a school bathroom ghost they call Hanako-san? Two girls were heading home after class, laughing, chatting, when one of them said she needed to go to the toilet before they left. The building was quiet since all the lessons were over. While washing her hands, she glanced at the mirror and noticed one of the stalls behind her was closed. She didn't hear anyone enter, so she decided to call out,
Hello?
She walked up and knocked. A moment later, something knocked back. She froze, then knocked again. Then suddenly, the stall door started shaking like something was inside trying to get out. She panicked and rushed to the door, but no matter how hard she pulled, the door was closed. Behind her, the stall creaked open. Standing there was a girl in a red skirt, with black bob-cut hair covering half her pale, wrong face. She smiled. Did you know there's a legend about black-eyed children in the United States? A woman and her husband were asleep when loud banging on the door woke them up. Standing outside were two children, a boy and a girl, underdressed for the snow, staring down at the ground and refusing to make eye contact. Something felt off. They asked,
"Where are your parents?"
The kids answered,
They'll be here soon. Can we come in?
Even though it felt wrong, the couple let them inside. The woman went to make cocoa while her husband sat with the kids trying to learn more. But their cat, who was usually friendly, hid under the table and growled at them. Then her husband said,
I feel dizzy.
and put his head in his hands. When she handed the cocoa over, the children finally looked up. Their eyes were entirely black.
May we use the restroom?
They asked, vanishing down the hallway. Suddenly, the power went out. A moment later, the kids whispered.
Our parents are here.
At the edge of the driveway stood two tall men in black suits. The children walked toward them. The front door slowly creaked shut on its own and the house finally fell silent. But suddenly, the cat was still staring at the hallway, tail low, ears back, growling.
If you find yourself driving in the late night of El Salvador, be careful. La Descarnada might ask you for a ride. The Skinless Woman is one of the most horrifying urban legends that there is. So if you see a woman standing by the side of the road, don't stop. Not even if she looks hurt or begging for help. Because by the time you roll down your window, you realize she has no skin. Her body raw, glistening, and red. You'll see her muscles twitching and her nerve is exposed. And her disturbing big eyes that never blink. They say that she was a very beautiful woman but made a deal that would keep her beauty. However, she didn't keep the deal. She broke her promise for eternal beauty and now she's cursed and walks the streets at night. La Descarnada wanders at night and begs for rides, and if you refuse to give her one, she will crawl into your car and take your skin off. They say if you scream, you'll be found skinned just like her. So the next time you see a woman hitchhiking in the dark begging for help, be careful and don't stop the car. La Descarnada might be hunting.
Planes shouldn't be underwater, and did you know there's over 1,000 that are in the ocean? This photo scares the living daylights out of me. You may be scared of snakes, spiders. No, I'm scared of giant things in the ocean. This is disgusting. Look how tiny that little swimmer looks in comparison to this huge thing that's in the ocean. The majority of the planes that went down were not commercial airplanes, so don't worry. They were mostly like World War I planes, but they are in the ocean. We just have to put another propeller type thing in the water, don't we? Icky. The video at the end is disgusting, by the way, so definitely stay around for that. These pictures, like, why would you scuba dive and go in a plane? Like, what is the fun in this? I don't understand. Also, where are the seats? Where are the seats? Am I the only one that when they see these photos, like their stomach just drops? Like it's literally like a guttural, disgusting reaction. Like, I don't understand. Unless you're paying me $1 million to film an underwater documentary, you cannot catch me doing this in a million years. There's the seeds. I found them. This is one that fell, and it is actually 7,000 feet underwater, and it was so badly damaged because of the pressure. I don't like this. This photo fills me with dread. A lot of it. And this is vile. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And are you also terrified of large things in the water? You're not alone, besties. I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck, and there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not, please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom. Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb yet again? Just wait for the video at the end where you see this giant thing submerged. It's beautiful. It's not. This is the gigantic crocodile animatronic used for the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Look at the animatronics mechanics that are going to be completely submerged, including most of it. And this is how absolutely massive it is. It was made by Stan Winston and his crew, and they're geniuses. It's great, but this horrifies me. I'm suing. Like, here's it in the water, mostly submerged, with bro up there. I could never, you could not pay me to be a guy in the freaking water like this. No. Like, could you ever get in the water with this thing? With this gigantic crocodile animatronic? No. This is the gigantic rig that is actually the, like, skeleton of the crocodile that's completely submerged. Like, look at this. Look at this. Knowing it's completely submerged in the water, I hate it. Look at this one. What's that underneath him? That's a person that's, like, fixing things underneath it. Let's look at it again. Could you ever do that? They use a giant wench to put it in the water. Like, why? They could have completely used CGI. They should have. I'm scared. This is one of the worst ones for me. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And could you ever be in the water with that? Would you ever visit this abandoned park that has a bunch of massive busts of old presidents? You know, I don't think I would. It used to be a lively place, but it closed in 2010, and some guy bought all of the busts and put it on some abandoned land. And it looks like this now. This is horrifying. I don't like this. This is how big a human is in comparison to all of these. That's just sickening. Can you imagine going there after dark in this abandoned area with all these massive, I couldn't do it. Also, this is Abraham Lincoln. If you know, you know. Like jail. Did someone do this on purpose, or was it a weird coincidence? This is kind of cool with all the plants on it. Still terrifying though. I have megalophobia, which is fear of huge things, and then abandoned places mixed together. No, thank you. I think George Washington's about to square up. Does anyone know which president this is that's missing the jaw though? This is horrific. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Would you go here? Some of them are missing the top of their heads. They had their wigs snatched. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go, but also I would be terrified I'd poop. More cursed swimming pools and the absolute horror of pool drains. The video at the end is one of the most horrific videos I've ever watched. Don't at me, okay? I'm scared of swimming pools. Let's go. First off, I can't swim with my face underwater, but this is so sickening. You see this giant pool drain, also that giant pool light. Why? Why is this necessary? This is terrifying. This is a naval diving school, and those look like giant rooms, like just in the complete darkness under that pool. Those aren't drains, those are just different rooms of the pool. Why? This is disgusting. I hate this. I hate this. Just imagine. I just go back to when, like, I was a little kid and just being terrified that, like, something is behind there, some kind of monster. And as an adult, that fear never went away. I don't like this photo. What do you think about this one? Also, I need to know what the hell's wrong with this pool also. Who builds these? This is so backrooms coded, liminal spaces. I hate it. Also, if you've ever wondered what is behind the wave pool stuff, these gigantic pipes are back there. I have a huge phobia of pipes being anywhere near water, and this is sick. They need to close that. Someone's gonna fall through. Oh my God, I don't like this. Why is this so scary? And here's a close-up view if you look through those wave pool slats. This picture just fills me with a sense of dread I cannot explain. Pool drains just terrify me, probably because I accidentally got my ponytail stuck in one when I was very little and I almost drowned. It wasn't actually in a pool, it was in a jacuzzi, but if you get close to them, they suck really hard and they will hurt you. And so just be careful around pool drains, all right? Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking.
Have you heard of the story called The Unknown Housemate? In Japan, a college guy had just moved into a cheap apartment near campus. It was small, kind of old, a bit smelly, but it was his first real place alone. After a few days, he started noticing small things. Food went missing, lights he turned off were back on, a drawer left open. He thought he was just tired. Maybe it was stress. Long nights, bad sleep. One night, he left a sticky note on the fridge. "Stop eating my food, just messing around." But in the morning, someone had answered, "Sorry." The handwriting wasn't his. He freaked out, changed the locks right away, and set up a small hidden camera. That night, while he slept, he saw her. A pale woman with messy black hair crawling out of the vent above the fridge. She moved slow. She ate, used the bathroom, then climbed back up and like nothing happened. She'd been living there for weeks. Police searched the place, and behind the kitchen wall, they found a small spot. A thin mattress, old blankets, empty food wrappers. She was gone. But near the vent, written in red, it said,
"Your skin tastes delicious."
At Myrtle's plantation in Louisiana, there hangs a mirror that refuses to forget. It looks ordinary. Wooden frame, old glass, reflecting the creaky hallway behind it. But locals say a spirit lives inside, and it remembers. The legend begins in the 1800s, when Sarah Woodruff and her children were poisoned during a dinner. They died inside the house, but the staff forgot to cover the mirrors, a tradition meant to prevent souls from becoming trapped. This mirror was left uncovered. Since then, something has stared back. Visitors report handprints appearing on the inside of the glass, even after it's been cleaned. Faces flash behind their own reflection. Some see a woman in black, her eyes hollow, her mouth moving in silence. Others say she whispers through.
Did you know that in Japan, deep in the forest, there's something that gets inside you? A college student named Riku went hiking near an old trail during a solo camping trip. Locals told him not to go past the broken torii gate.
Bad spirits live in those woods,
They said, but Riku didn't care. He just wanted some peace. The first night, he heard something outside his tent. Not footsteps, but a slow, dragging sound, like hooves scraping through dirt. He stayed frozen. The tent rustled once, then everything went still. No wind, no insects, just complete silence. When he stepped out, no one was there, but he couldn't shake the feeling something had watched him all night. The next morning, he found long, wiry hairs caught in his tent zipper. That's when things changed. He stopped eating, started scratching at his arms nonstop. One night, his friend asked, "Dude, what's wrong with you?" Riku just stared and said,
"Something is growing inside me. I can feel it. It's moving under my ribs."
At night, he mumbled in his sleep in some strange, guttural voice. Not Japanese, not human. A week later, he vanished. They found his clothes folded by the river, and next to them, hoof prints, which slowly turned into barefoot tracks, and then nothing.
Have you ever heard of MK Ultra? Pump drugs into their veins and ask them the same questions 1,000 times. Some broke, some screamed until their voices gave out, some just stared, empty. There's one case the CIA never explained. A scientist named Frank Olson. He worked for them, until he didn't. One night, after being dosed without his knowledge, he ran out of his hotel room window and fell 10 stories to his death. They said it was suicide, but years later, his family had the body exhumed. The autopsy showed signs of blunt force trauma. Before the fall, they'd buried the truth, and with it, countless other victims. MK Ultra was officially shut down in the 1970s, but most of the documents were destroyed. Only fragments remain, and no one knows how deep it really went.
Here are some terrifying submechanophobia and thalassophobia images that keep me up at night. This is disgusting. Look how tiny that person is in that little boat on top of this. I could never. The pipes. I have a phobia of pipes and water. This is the most disgusting image I think I've ever seen. This looks like something out of a Backrooms horror game, and I am utterly terrified. Those fish want me dead. This gosh darn dinosaur poking his head out of the water. I hate this. Also, this thing's like 5 feet tall, by the way. It's not small. Underwater mine shafts. Can you imagine if you had to go down in that water, down that ladder? I don't care if you're wearing scuba gear. That is horrific. I don't know what's going on in this photo, but I would prefer not to know. Would you ever jump in this water, in this abandoned area? You would probably get rat lungworm disease. Oh my goodness. This guy is my op. I hate this photo. Every time I look at it, I can't even look at it. I'm looking at myself in the camera. The dadgum squid from the 2000 Leagues Under the Sea ride. Hate this thing. And it was under there for 10 years, by the way. This cave with cars in it for some reason underwater. This image that is clearly fake, but is still terrifying, of this shark attacking this cage. That's gross. Could you imagine if you were in a little boat and you go swimming and you realize that you're on top of a gigantic monster's eyeball? Oh my God. And this. I know this is not how big sharks are. I know it isn't. But in my little brain, this is how I imagine how big they are. Which image was the most terrifying for you?
If you ever hear your name being whispered on an empty street in Guadalajara, run. And whatever you do, do not look back. One girl was walking back home late at night, but every time she would pass by a light, it would flicker. But then she heard it, a very soft, creepy whisper coming from behind her. She heard her name being whispered over and over again. She completely froze. It was her name, but the street was completely empty and dark. Who would have known her name? No matter how fast she walked, the whisper seemed to follow her, and it would get louder and louder the more she ran. And then right beside her, she heard heavy breathing. Then a whisper that said, "Stop running." She was completely shaking and she got out her phone to call for help. She opened her phone and it was a front-facing camera, and right behind her, she saw herself smiling. Her reflection whispered, "I found you." Many people have reported strange things happening on the streets of Guadalajara. So will you be next?
Would you go on this dark ride that's in the UK called Ghost Train in Fantasy Island? The video at the end is terrifying, and it's going to show this animatronic moving. This is the train that you're in, which looks fine, but why does he have boobs above his eyeballs? They have a bunch of really creepy animatronics in there that are dilapidated. Dude is tweaking. It looks so tame on the outside too, but in the inside, it's just a bunch of horror movie stuff, but they're like really creepy. Which, like, horror is my favorite genre, but how is that Frankenstein? Why does he have a mullet? All of the little areas have different doors with like different horror movie icons on them. Of course, this is Leatherface. That is so cursed, and it's just coming out of the wall like that. We have Samara from The Ring on one of the doors, but there's not even a ring part of the ride. This is the most terrifying animatronic that's on the ride. I actually had to make it black and white because it is very, very terrifying, and I probably would not be able to put this on TikTok. There's a Freddy room. Freddy, which, by the way, I met Robert Englund at a bar one time, and he was so nice. Why does this Michael Myers look exactly like Hugh Grant? Tell me it does not. The Exorcist room is terrifying. I don't like it. You can kind of see the door that has Reagan's face on it in the darkness like that, and I hate it. Arachnophobia warning, and there's spiders as well, of course, like any good dark ride. And Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is chilling in there, which he's not scary, but that animatronic is. So watch this video of the animatronic from The Exorcist and the spiders moving. If you are scared of either of those, click off now. Also, on a serious note, epilepsy warning, because there are lights.
This is the most haunted place on Earth. Located in Louisville, Kentucky, Waverly Hills Sanatorium opened in 1910 and was used to treat patients with tuberculosis. Unfortunately, since this was before there was an effective way to cure the disease, over 6,000 people would die inside Waverly Hills. And some of the treatments they would receive were downright horrific. To help patients breathe, balloons were inflated inside their lungs, and in extreme cases, muscles and ribs would even be removed. After an effective treatment was created, Waverly Hills would close its doors in 1961. With all that death and suffering, it's no surprise it's one of the most active paranormal locations in America. Visitors report disembodied voices, slamming doors, and even objects being thrown. One of the most well-known spirits is that of a boy named Timmy, who's said to play with balls that visitors bring him. Room 502 is where a nurse allegedly hung herself. Her ghost is said to appear in the doorway or cry when no one's there. But somehow, it gets even worse. Below the building lies the body chute, a dark underground tunnel once used to remove corpses from the property in a discreet manner. Today, visitors report shadow figures, voices, and the eerie feeling of being watched. Which is why...
Did you know there's a man who came back from the war, but didn't come back whole? His name was Ellis Granger. He served in a reconnaissance unit deep in the Pacific jungles. People say something happened out there, something he never spoke about. When he returned to his hometown in Oregon, he built a small cabin deep in the woods. Not a single photo of him exists after 1947. He never went to town. He never took visitors. But hunters swore they saw him wandering the tree line, eyes glowing like an animal's in the dark. Locals say he still hunted, but not for deer. They found animals gutted in strange, ritualistic ways. One had a ring of barbed wire wrapped around its skull. Another had its eyes removed, but no blood. A teenager who trespassed near Ellis's land said he saw a figure crawling on all fours, with arms too long and skin that didn't look right. It made no sound, but stared until he ran. In 1959, the cabin burned to the ground. They never found a body, only charred claw marks on the inside of the walls. And still, hikers vanish near that stretch of forest. Some say they hear something breathing just behind them. And if you turn around too slowly, it remembers your face.
They put Spinosaurus animatronics in the water. They put Spinosaurus animatronics in the water. Let's talk about it. Multiple of them, by the way. In the Chao Phraya River of Bangkok, Thailand, they put a bunch of Spinosaurus animatronics in the water to do a promo for Jurassic World Rebirth. And they're cool and all, but they're terrifying also, because animatronics in the water is one thing that I don't tolerate. Like, they're held up by these beams and their tails move. Like, it looks super realistic. And if you've seen Jurassic World Rebirth, you know there's a scene with a bunch of Spinosauruses in the water. So this is like perfect promo, but also horrifying. Also, they're huge. Like, this is how big it is in comparison to a ship. These things are massive. Like, who thought this was a good idea? This is terrifying. Like, imagine not knowing it's there and then going out on your boat and seeing this. I would crap my soul out. Also, look at its little teeths. That's horrifying. The craftsmanship is beautiful though. Like, this looks super, super realistic. You can see the amber of its eyeball. It's gorgeous, but it's terrifying. Why do they do this? Why do they put animatronics in water? Please stop. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking and how would you feel seeing this? And if you've seen Jurassic World Rebirth, how did you like it? I enjoyed it, honestly. Did you know that in the Universal Studios in Beijing, China, the Jurassic World Adventure ride has the Indominus Rex and it chases you? The video at the end is terrifying. I could never go on this ride in a million years. You see how it has this track here and it actually chases you for like a full 30 seconds. This is what it looks like without skin. It's giving Five Nights at Isla Nublar. Also, when I went to Universal Studios in 2009 in Los Angeles, I got this adorable teddy bear, and he has a little Jurassic Park hat, and he's holding a velociraptor. Isn't this the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life? But yeah, this animatronic looks extremely realistic, really cool, terrifying. I love dark rides, but I would be terrified to see a massive animatronic chasing me. This is how big its head is in comparison to people. Hate it because of the megalophobia of it. How it works is that it has a different track than the people, and it goes in a circle. Also, he doesn't have feet, so it's kind of goofy, but like with the lights on, it's not as scary. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking, and would you go on this ride? Honestly, I probably would. I'd just be crying though.
Did you know in the United States there's
The video at the end is so terrifying. I have procrastinated making this TikTok all morning because I am so scared of this. I saw a YouTube short this morning about this. I was so scared that I started crying. I did not know that the Inspector Gadget was half animatronics. Like, it was obvious, but I thought most of it was CGI. It is by Sam Winston, who does almost everything. This scares me so bad, mostly because I have always had a little bit of a phobia of Inspector Gadget. Make fun of me all you want, but this is so scary. I didn't know it was a robot. Like, this isn't real. This isn't real. His ear comes detached, watch. His whole ear-ussie is out. This is so scary. Like, oh my goodness. Like, remember the scene where his head, like, shoots up? That actually was, like, this animatronic, and it just shoots up. Why is this so scary? When it shoots up? Like, show me monsters all day. But, like, humanoid, it looks so real, too. I'm flustered. Just watch this video and let me know what you're thinking.
Did you know in the United States
These are the scariest things found in the ocean. So if you have thalassophobia, I'm sorry. Up first, we have the ocean's black holes. Powerful underwater whirlpools, also called maelstroms, can suck down anything in their path, including boats. Some are still unexplained by science. After that, we have the goblin shark. This rare deep-sea shark has a long, flat snout and jaws that shoot out to catch prey. And honestly, it looks like something out of a nightmare. Up next is the Baltic Sea Anomaly, a strange 200-foot wide object found on the seafloor in 2011. Its unusual shape made some think it was a crashed UFO. And honestly, I don't blame them. Moving on, we have the colossal squid. Even bigger than the giant squid, this deep-sea creature has hooked tentacles and eyes as large as basketballs. It's rarely seen and lives in the darkest part of the ocean. And finally, we have underwater brine pools. These are lakes within the ocean filled with super salty water. Anything that falls in dies. They might look calm, but they're toxic death traps. Where would you rather stay? Would you rather spend the night inside the haunted Waverly Hills Sanatorium or in the dark abandoned halls of the Penthurst Asylum? This one's tough because I really want to go to both of these places, but I've had a fascination with Waverly Hills for a while now, so I would choose to stay there. Would you rather explore the haunted hallways of the Queen Mary or the ghost-filled ruins of Alcatraz Prison after dark? If you're anything like me, then you've heard about all the crazy experiences people have had at the Queen Mary. So as cool as Alcatraz would be, I would have to go with the Queen Mary. Would you rather sleep inside the Myrtles Plantation, said to be built on native burial ground, or brave a night at the ancient and cursed Lip Castle in Ireland? If you think for 1 second that I'm gonna stay in an ancient haunted castle in Ireland, then you're absolutely right, because that sounds amazing. These are some creepy true crime cases. The Monster of Florence. This unknown killer preyed on couples in remote areas during the 70s and 80s, leaving behind gruesome ritualistic murders that terrified an entire region. And the case remains unsolved. The Watcher House. In 2014, a family moved into their dream home in New Jersey, but soon received chilling letters from someone calling themselves the Watcher. The writer knew unsettling details about the family and even hinted that they weren't the first to be watched. The Black Dahlia. In 1947 Los Angeles, Elizabeth Short's disfigured body was found dumped in a vacant lot. The shocking brutality and the mystery surrounding her final days have made this one of the most infamous unsolved cases in history. The Issei Sagawa case. In 1981, Issei Sagawa murdered and consumed a classmate in Paris, but was declared unfit for trial and later walked free. Now what's really creepy is that he openly talked about his crime for years and showed absolutely no remorse.
If you stare into your mirror at 3:33 a.m. and don't blink, you'll see something behind you. Or so they say. But here's the thing, it only moves when you blink. There's this old urban legend online called the blinking game. You stand in front of your bathroom mirror, no lights, and a candle behind you. You set your timer at 3:33 a.m. and just stare right at your reflection. No blinking, no moving, just watch. Some people claim that their reflection smiles at them, and others say the face slowly changes, but as soon as you blink, your reflection gets closer or you see a twitch. And once it gets closer and taps on the glass, they say that it's not you anymore. It changed sides. So you're trapped in the mirror and they're trapped in reality. You become trapped inside of the mirror and your reflection walks away, leaving you completely trapped and behind. They say there are TikToks or YouTube videos of people trying it and they never post it again. So let me know if you would try this. If you're looking for a spooky movie to watch tonight, I highly recommend The Ritual on Netflix. The movie starts with 4 friends hiking through a remote Swedish forest. But this isn't your typical nature trip. They're running from the weight of grief and guilt, and in the forest, something's watching. The deeper they go into the forest, the more reality cracks. The more the dreams and the visions seem so real, and the nightmares become the ritual. And at the center of it all is a creature that you've never seen before and is really creepy. It's a god, it's a monster, something that's worshipped by people that fear it. This isn't your typical survival horror, it's psychological. It's mythic, it's unsettling, it's just weird. The scariest part is that you don't fear the monster, you fear what happens when someone's guilty. You fear what guilt does to a man's soul. The Ritual is streaming on Netflix, but don't go by yourself in the woods. I highly recommend you watching this with the lights off and the volume up. Trust me, you're gonna get spooked. Let me know in the comments if you already watched or if you're planning on watching this movie.
These are some scary urban legends from the Appalachian Mountains. Up first, we have the Dogman of Appalachia, a tall, wolf-like creature with glowing eyes and human features, said to roam the Appalachian forests at night. Witnesses report deep growls, fast movement, and feeling watched before it appears. After that, we have the Pope Lick Monster, a half-goat, half-human creature said to haunt an old railroad trestle in Kentucky. It's rumored to lure people onto the tracks with eerie calls and tricks, where many have mysteriously disappeared or met a tragic end. Moving on, we have the Boo Hag, a terrifying skinless witch from Appalachian lore that slips through cracks and keyholes at night. It climbs onto victims' chests, stealing their breath while leaving them in a paralyzed fear. And finally, we have the Devil's Tramping Ground. Deep in a North Carolina forest lies a perfect circle where nothing grows. Locals say the devil himself paces there at night, burning the ground with each step as he whispers his darkest plans into the void.
There's a phone number that only rings once. If you call it at 3 a.m., it'll answer back the next day. But what you'll get is something disturbing. Legend says that if you call the number, it won't answer right away. The call won't connect, but you will hear silence. But the next morning, your phone will show you a missed call, and with that missed call is left a voicemail. You answer the voicemail and you figure that it's your own voice. When you press play, the voice sounds just like you, but a bit distorted and slower. It sounds a bit off, but at the end of the message, it says, "Don't open the door." Most people ignore this message until someone goes knocking in the middle of the night. One soft knock, then two, then another, then a soft voice that sounds like you, right at your front door. The voice will whisper, "It's me, let me in," tricking anybody including yourself. If you delete the voicemail, it doesn't stop. If you block the number, they'll keep calling you from different numbers, mainly from your own, and yet again you will hear your voice. So whatever you do, don't call this number.